Hi, this is my review of Classics Illustrated's comic book version of Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Now keep in mind, this is a review of the comic book, not necessarily a review of the story, though you can't really ignore the story when you're reading the comic book. Now some classic literature translates pretty well on the pages of a comic book, and other classics, not so much. So let's see how Romeo and Juliet works as a comic book. Alright, first of all, this cover is kind of misleading. I mean, there are some duels and sword fights in Romeo and Juliet, and I guess since these comics were marketed to boys in elementary school, the powers that be, or the publishers, maybe they thought that a cover with the balcony scene would turn off too many potential readers, so gotta go with the duel. Now, the splash page is pretty good. Romeo and Juliet with the exposition in the middle, you get to know about the feud between the Capulets and the Montagues right away. I always forget which one's which. And if you're the head of a feuding family, you really need to have more than one kid. Don't put yourself in that position where, one kid dies in a feud and then your line is gone. All right, now, here we have the servants of the two families, the confrontation. Servants are in trouble. Now, servants, why are you fighting each other? You know the Montagues and Capulets don't really care about you, right? Just take the paycheck and live your life. Don't get killed over rich family. Stay out of it. That prince looks like a weasel. And Romeo here looks kind of wimpy. Now, he turns out to be a badass, but he looks wimpy here. He's whipped over some girl named Rosalind. Rosalind? I forget. It's been a long time since I've had to read it out loud. So the Capulets are going to have a party, and Paris is supposed to woo Juliet, and then Romeo finds out about the party. From a servant, of course. Servants, again. This shows that you really need to do the important things yourself. All right, now Juliet finds out that Paris is interested in marrying her, and Romeo is going to see Rosalind, and he's going to wear a mask. He's going to wear a mask so the Capulets won't write. It's not our kind of mask. It's not social distancing mask. It's the old-fashioned mask. But that's the mask. That's supposed to protect his identity. Well, I don't know if glasses hid Superman's identity. Who knows? And then Romeo sees Juliet for the first time, and what was that girl's name again? But then Tybalt recognizes Romeo as a Montague from his voice. That's pretty good hearing. But then his uncle tells him to stand down. No violence in the house. Tybalt looks pissed. And then Romeo and Juliet meet. And there's the famous line, "Let lips do what hands do." And see, they're holding hands. Okay, good. At least they got in the illustration, they got the holding hands right. And to be fair, in the play, it takes a little longer. I mean, Juliet doesn't just hold hands right. She plays it off a little bit. And then we see where he finds out she's a Capulet and she finds out he's a Montague. All right. And then while his friends Benvolio and Mercutio are looking for him, Romeo jumps back into the Capulets' grounds, finds Juliet's balcony. I think we've got a famous scene coming up here. And here's the famous, "Oh, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo?" And then they talk. And I hate it. I hate it in comic books when characters just stand around and talk. I mean, how else are comic creators going to do this scene? I know, but at least the artist came up with a variety of angles. I mean, it's a good job, artist. But still, just talking in a comic book. And this is one of the problems with when you're putting a classic novel to a comic book. A lot of what makes the novel great doesn't really fit to a comic book. And as much as they talk here, this is the abridged version. I'd make fun of Friar Lawrence's bad haircut, but I think all friars look like that. I mean, do they really? I mean, God, I like you, but do I really have to cut my hair like that to serve you? I guess that's how you show your dedication. That and celibacy, I guess. I like how the friar reminds Romeo of Rosalind and Romeo just dismisses her. But then the friar still agrees to marry the two of them. I mean, come on. Romeo and Juliet, that is, not Romeo and the friar, because that would be very frowned upon back then. I mean, but this does show that those friars would do anything if you paid them. Don't trust a guy with that haircut. And then we have Romeo's friends who, of course, have nothing better to do than talk about Romeo. Romeo, you dog, you got some last night, didn't you? And then he has to go and make a marriage arrangements. Oh, man. Can't even talk. This is why I write instead of talk. What was I saying? He has to make marriage arrangements with the nurse. Now, I have to admit, this isn't the most exciting comic book to read. It's a lot of marriage arrangements here. And then they actually get married in one panel. It's not Vegas, I guess, but it's all right. You should have, I don't know, you couldn't even put an Elvis impersonator in the background. I mean, I don't even think Elvis was a thing when they made the comic book. I mean, I'm talking about the comic book, not the play. So this probably came out in the 50s, I think. I mean, I think there was Elvis, but not Elvis impersonators. Hey, we've got an action scene. Tybalt sees Romeo and insults him because he'd been at that party. And Romeo's now related to Tybalt, doesn't want to fight, but nobody knows that. He and Juliet are married, so everyone thinks he's a coward. And so Mercutio challenges Tybalt to fight. Now, don't get between two people in a fight unless you know both of them, they both like you. Otherwise, something really bad happens. You'll get clobbered or someone takes a cheap shot. You need two people. You get behind each combatant, one person each, and you just pull. Anyway, according to the comic, and I don't remember if this is true in the play or even the movies, but yeah, Tybalt gets the cheap shot and kills Mercutio. So, short version, Romeo kills Tybalt. Don't you hate it? Here again, when you have a dramatic fight scene, and in the comic book, it's only one panel. I mean, I'm sure in the movies it was like, it went on for a few minutes. This is wasted opportunity. You know, we had, what, a 5-page conversation between Romeo and Juliet? Boring. And then the sword fight. I mean, come on, this is a comic book. Know your target audience. And then the prince is going to execute Romeo. Juliet finds out about all this mess and wants to see Romeo one last time. I mean, what? That takes a whole page? And then it takes a whole page for Romeo to decide to see Juliet one last time? Yeesh, this could have been used for the sword fight. Now, let's see. The Capulets resolve to marry Juliet off to Paris on Thursday. What's so great about Thursday? And then, meanwhile, Romeo and Juliet are together. You know, he's one more time before he flees for exile. And, oh, man, we can use a good sword fight about now. And then Juliet refuses to marry Paris. Her father calls her a disobedient wretch. I never said that to my daughter. Probably told her she's disobedient, but I don't think I ever called her a wretch. That's taking it a step right there. I don't know. She goes to the friar, and then he gives her that liquid that makes her appear dead. Now, do you really trust that? I don't even know if that really exists. You know, come on. If that liquor drink that makes you look dead was around the 1600s, how come we don't have that now? You know, there've been a couple times in my life when I could have used a drink that makes me look dead. You know, I don't know about this part, William Shakespeare. It's a little shaky. Now, to be fair, she does wonder about the drink here. You know, she thinks of it. Is it gonna work? Should I do it? And then she takes it anyway. Yeah, well, that'll get her on the wedding. So Romeo finds out that Juliet is dead, and then he gets himself some poison. You know, this story does not have a good message for teenagers. Or, I don't know, maybe it is a great warning. Do not take poison. And then the friar can even get his message delivered to Romeo. And post office was unreliable even back then. And you know, meddling friar, this is all your fault. Now, I warn readers not to trust the guy with that haircut. And this is what happens when adults try to meddle in teen problems. It just gets out of control. He should have just called Juliet a disobedient wretch and sent her back to her dad. I'll know this would have happened. You know, Paris wasn't that bad of a guy. And speaking of Paris, he comes to see Juliet's body with flowers and good intentions. Poor guy doesn't even know what's going on. And he probably thinks he's doing the right thing confronting Romeo, but then he gets run through. Ugh, poor Paris. But like I said earlier, Romeo's a badass. You know, but it's another one-panel sword fight. I mean, come on. And give Romeo a couple more days, he probably could have wiped out the entire Capulet clan right down to the last distant cousin. But then he takes the poison. Ugh, poison. God, what a pussy. For a badass, that's such a weak move. And then you get, you know, I'm getting really tired of seeing that friar. Some vigilantes really just need to get that friar and... Okay, never mind. Just don't do it. Don't take the law in your own hands because that just makes things worse. Just beware Be aware of that meddling friar. And then, what? Juliet stabs. I thought she took leftover poison. I need to look that up. I mean, yeah. Okay. Yes, she does actually stab herself. Wow, what a stud. I mean, wait, okay, that comes out wrong. I don't condone that, but that's a brutal way to go. It takes guts. I mean, you have to be determined. And okay, like I said, I'm not condoning it, but I almost respect it. I don't, but I almost do. And I'm gonna shut up and go on to the next page. But where did the friar go? He left? He left and just let all this happen. What? See, again, this friar is a useless jerk. He's worse than useless. Okay, then they find the bodies and see, why the hell is the friar just standing there pretending to pray? I mean, he's praying, I guess. Praying that nobody finds out that he caused all this. At least the Capulets and the Montagues, they bring their families together at last. Finally, guys, and then they publicly execute the friar and burn down his monastery or chapel or whatever. Seriously, I really hope there's a sixth act where the people of Verona find out what the friar did. That just pisses me off that he gets away with that. Look at that weasel, pretending he does it. Oh, hey, look. On the next page, there's a nice article of William Shakespeare. All right, that's it. I hope you like this video. I have a bunch of classic comic books, so if you'd like to see any classic literature reviewed in comic book format, please let me know. Also, like and subscribe so I know whether or not I should make more videos like this. All right, thanks for watching.